Well, the first time I heard that we had a new bankruptcy judge, and it was Joanne C. Stevenson, someone I had never heard of, I had no way of knowing what to expect. I did a little research and found out that she was a member of the Hertzberg, Jacob, and Weingarten firm in Detroit, which is an extremely capable and well-known bankruptcy and creditors' rights firm. So I knew two things. First of all, she was very bright and capable, and secondly, she had a good knowledge of bankruptcy law, so I knew we would get a good judge. I didn't realize that she would be immediately the Honorable Joanne C. General George Patton Stevenson, however. She took control of the courtroom right away. She was no nonsense. She did a wonderful job in controlling her docket and in getting to the point. There was no toleration of a lot of extraneous information. She got right to the nitty-gritty, and I've always thought, listened carefully to the arguments.
I met her in 1988. Professor Payne had heard that she was looking for a clerk and had recommended me to her, and then came to me and kind of recommended her to me. And not being from here, she thought that it would be a very good way for me to be exposed to the bankruptcy bar, see how people practice, who I'd like to be affiliated with, and also have a learning experience through her. And completely lucky for me, we really got along very well, and I started out with her in July of '89. I graduated in December of '88, took the bar in February of '89, and started with her in July.
She's decisive. She's fair. She's very bright. I would encourage any lawyer that practices in front of her to go into the courtroom prepared. I don't think she has a lot of tolerance for people who aren't prepared. She really, one of the interesting things about her is she really has to work on a poker face, because sometimes you're in court in front of her and you're standing up giving your arguments, and you'll see one of two things perhaps. Her head will start to nod, and then you know you can sit down because you know you've said enough. Other times you'll be giving an argument and you'll see her kind of her face get a little tight, and she'll do these short little head shakes, and then you know you better come up with a better argument.
It's unusual, I think, to make a new friend who becomes this close at this point in life, but it's good to know you can. This is what she has given me.
Something else that occurred to me, though, that has always impressed me about Joanne, and that is her willingness to try new things. She is not one to stay and do what she has done in the past over and over again. She doesn't strike me as a creature of habit, if you will. It always seems that something else has piqued her interest and that she then pursues it. And in each instance, I've always been impressed at how well she pursues it. It's not something where there is only a half interest in it. She is fully interested in it and has the commitment of excellence as well. And you see that as well in her professional practice. I didn't have the pleasure of practicing with her when she was in private practice, but I certainly appreciated it, both as a practitioner before her and also as a colleague of hers.
Marshall and my wife and I went to a bar event for the Grand Rapids Bar Association, and as we came in the door, there was Judge Stevenson was standing there. So I, said hi to the judge and introduced her to Marshall, who's not a bankruptcy lawyer, and I don't think she knew him. And Marshall, who's kind of an interesting guy, very well read, says, asked her if she was familiar with the, I think it's the memoirs or something of Marcus Aurelius. And I'm like, yeah, like that line ever works, And the next thing I knew, they were an item.
I called it True Confessions, and I gave her the wrong title. So she tried looking up the book and couldn't find it, and left me a message that she couldn't find the book. And I realized I gave her the wrong title. It's Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. So I felt bad about it. So I ordered a copy of the book for her from Schuler Books and sent her a note. And in the note I said, if you would like to go out for coffee sometime, I'd be happy to discuss the book with you. And she accepted that invitation. So that was kind of our first date, if you want to call it that. And what impressed me was that not very long in the conversation, she mentioned it was a felony to assault a federal judge. So that made an impression on me. But nonetheless, I guess I accepted that as a challenge. We continued seeing each other, and our relationship progressed from there. I had been divorced, and even though she's a different place on the river of life than me, it's been a great relationship, at least a great experience for me, and I hope for her.
They just reminded me of a case that I handled here in Grand Rapids for clients who got caught up in a divorce problem between the debtor who filed bankruptcy, who sold them a van, and the ex-wife who had possession of the van and wouldn't give it to my client. And they came to me, and we filed a motion in the bankruptcy case of the debtor to hold the ex-wife in contempt of court for not delivering the van. My clients had paid the money to buy the van. They were entitled to possession. This woman was refusing to turn over the van. Judge Stevenson said, "Turn over the keys now." "Well, I don't have them. They're out in the van." "Then go get them. We'll wait." And she opened her purse and took them out of her purse and handed them to me. And I gave them to my client. And my clients were very, very pleased they could finally get what they had paid for. The reason that story is important is not so much the handling of the case by Judge Stevenson, but after the case was over, my clients had left, I was packing up my briefcase, she came back into the courtroom and thanked me for having handled this case for these people who she knew didn't have a lot of means, but were entitled to have their rights presented to the court. And she appreciated the fact that attorneys were willing to give of themselves to the legal system and to indigent defendants and debtors, or indigent parties who have no other means of representation. And I know she feels very strongly about that providing pro bono services is a very important aspect of what the lawyers in this district are responsible to do. And I was asked at one point to participate in the pro bono program. I was very busy and forgot to send in the slip. She wrote me a personal letter saying, "Paul, please participate in the program. We need good attorneys to represent these people." And I wrote her back saying, "How can I say no to you? I'm happy to do it." And I sent my certificate or my slip in to participate. But Judge Stevenson was absolutely frank, sometimes brutally frank, and if she had no patience for argument that had no substance. The one thing I'll say about her is that she always focused right away on the key issue, on the key testimony, and you can talk, but if it wasn't relevant or it wasn't specifically addressing the issue, you knew, because she started shaking her head no, that you weren't going to get very far with that. And I always felt that no matter how she decided the case, she gave a great deal of deference and patience to the litigants and to their clients in particular. I don't ever recall Judge Stevenson interrupting a line of questioning or berating any attorney or their client when there was an argument being presented or there was testimony being elicited.
I have to believe one of the funnier events that I've heard concerning Judge Stevenson was with regards to her mugging, if you will, at the the Fuller Street Market over on Fuller Street. Those who aren't aware, she had the misfortune of having someone push her over and grab her purse and speed off, which was the unfortunate part. The humorous part was that resilient person that she was, she got herself up, and just as she was starting to get her bearings again, at that point, apparent stranger pulled up and said, "Get in, let's go after him." And she proceeded to climb into this truck with this guy, and off they went, searching about that neighborhood looking for Judge Stevenson's attacker. Well, what made it perhaps even funnier was they found him. And at that point in time, her companion, rescuer, said, "Don't worry, I've got a pipe." Grabs the pipe and heads out, and I think perhaps the only other thing that didn't happen, which I guess wouldn't have surprised me had it had, is that she had not asked for her own pipe and gone out after him as well. But fortunately, she had the good sense of staying in the truck and letting the other guy confront this guy, or try to confront him. I think finally ended up that he took off before the guy could get after him. And as I said, it was apparent stranger. Apparently afterwards, it turned out that she did know this person, had been his painter, so shows that Grand Rapids is a small world as well.
She's very open to a lot of different things, and she's very curious. She wants to learn things, and so she's taken a variety of different lessons, like golf lessons, swimming lessons, tap dance lessons, ballroom dancing lessons, Italian lessons, and how I was thinking in terms of just a few things that have happened recently, how well those lessons have served her. For example, the tap dancing lesson, I'm sure, was instrumental in getting her that part as Mother Ginger in the Nutcracker. And the Italian lessons, when she lost all of her luggage, I'm sure it helped that she could ask people, "Have you seen my passport?" And her golf and swimming lessons probably paid off when she was chasing down the mugger after her purse got stolen at the D&W. So,
being married to her, she's introduced me to things like opera, which I'm still trying to figure out. I've introduced her to my family farm in Indiana, and she got to milk a cow, and that was real exciting to her. I've introduced her to bike riding. Of course, I've almost killed her twice bike riding, but that's okay. I do recall one incident. I enjoy reading about the Civil War, and whenever we have an opportunity, I insist on visiting Civil War battlefields, and she humors me. And one time we were, I think, traveling to Florida for spring break, and I convinced her to stay at a bed and breakfast at the Chickamauga battlefield, and we took our bikes. And I convinced her to bike around the battlefield, which is a very large area, for a whole day. And at the end of the day, well, of course we got lost. At the end of the day, we were at the foot of a place called Snodgrass Hill, where the 20th Michigan Regiment made a last stand in the battle and suffered heavy casualties, 60–70%. So I insisted on trying to find the monument to the 20th Michigan Regiment that fought in that battle. So we clambered up with our bikes on this trail that I think the last time anyone was on it was the South Carolina Brigade during the battle. We got to the top of Snodgrass Hill, and that was it. She was not going any further. Now, that happened to be the place of the field hospital, too, so that was convenient. And I'll never forget, there was a park ranger that came up with his pickup truck, and she was ecstatic. "Save me, save me." And he said, "Well, I can't help you out, ma'am, because he had a pickup truck, and she wanted him to take her bike and take her back to the park center, the visitor center. And she even said, look, we both work for the same employer. And she whipped out her judge badge, and it made no impression.
One thing that comes to mind is, you know, nobody's perfect, and she is not a very good driver. And at times when she's called me from her car, it always makes me nervous because she really should not be driving and talking on the phone at the same time. So I try to speed the conversation along. And so I have a message that she left me that I'd like to share with you.
Received Wednesday, November 29th, 2006 at 12:44 p.m., totaling 52 seconds.
JL, it's Judge. I'm in the car. I'm off to my swimming lesson, and then after that, I wanted to go out to Hobby Lobby. And I thought you said take Ann Street until it's dead end. The hell is that?
There goes the judge. I have learned so many things from our friend the judge. Without her, all our lives would be just a dull gray sludge. When she smiles, we all smile. It's fun just being near her. But disrespect the court, and then she'll help you get clearer. You'll get that you'll be doing time, that you'll be in the slammer. She learned from nuns in Catholic school, along with all that grammar. Italian is the bond we have. We practice every week. And now, by God, we can converse and know of what we speak. We've been to Italy 3 times. Each time, something beset us. Lost bags, strikes, and now train theft, but we don't let things get us. This time, though, Judge Joanne's passport is in a thief's possession. We can't be sure it won't be he conducting her last session. Though she will pack away her robes and maybe bronze her gavel, the world that we have come to know won't totally unravel if she'll still hang around us all and smile her smile like always, and now and then materialize in all familiar hallways. Love and respect will follow her wherever life will lead her. We watch how she says yes to life. That's why we'll always need her. Buona fortuna, Giovanna, mia amica. Al prossimo capitolo.
Maybe I can illustrate a different side of her by quoting to you her favorite poem. She likes Yeats, as I do too. And her favorite poem is a short love poem. And it goes like this. Shy one, shy one, shy one of my heart. She moves by the firelight, peacefully apart. She brings in the dishes and lays them in a row. With her to an aisle in the water would I go. She brings in the candles and lights the curtained room. Shy in the doorway, shy in the gloom. Shy as a rabbit, helpful and shy, with her to an aisle in the water would I fly. Now, that may show a different side of Joanne, because what I understand from my friends that do bankruptcy, she's not characterized as being shy in the courtroom. And in terms of bringing in the dishes, I often do that. It is true she won't trust me around fires, so she usually handles candles. But in my time with her, there would be no one else that I could think of that I would want to be on an island with. She's a wonderful companion.
No question that you know where you're heading with Judge Stevenson. She will tell you and indicate to you there are many times when I'm sitting there after I've made my argument, and the other person gets up and starts to argue, and she starts shaking her head no, and I keep saying to myself, why don't you just sit down? There's no way you're going to come out on this. And she listens to the argument and then rules in my favor, and that's it, you know. But I think she did an excellent job as a judge, and we're very fortunate that she was on the bench in this district, because I think she added a great deal to the judiciary and to the practice of bankruptcy law all the way around.
Just congratulations. I wish you all the best in everything, and really mostly what I'd like to do is thank you on behalf of myself, my family. It's been a blessing and an honor.
Joanne, I would join and all others in wishing you Godspeed and good luck. I know you will recall the conversations that we've had in the past when, particularly after Charlie's passing, things looked dark, but I told you at that time, forsan et haec hoc meminissa iuabit, which is Latin from the Aeneid, which means perhaps even this will be pleasant to recall. And I hope that you have, in fact, realized the truth of that statement, and that in this additional passing in your life, while it may be melancholy at this time, leaving your colleagues and practitioners and people who practice before you onto something else, that this passing will also be pleasant to recall in your future life as a retired judge. So again, Godspeed and good luck.
Just one other thing I would say is that, as most people know, she's encountered in the last couple years some adversity with her health, and she has shown remarkable courage and fortitude in dealing with that. And a lot of people, I think, would have decided, you know, I'm just going to give up and not go forward with this. But she went through a whole regimen of breast cancer treatment and some post-complications with maintaining her position on the court and really not slowing down, at least from my perspective, in terms of what the time and effort that she put into being a bankruptcy judge. So I think that was a true mark of character on her part. And I know probably a lot of people don't realize what she had to go through to that. In terms of personal message, Joanne, I just want to let you know it's been a great time that we've had together, and you have been wonderful to me in my life, and I hope I have given back some of that to you. And I look forward to this next phase when you're going to have more time and more freedom and hopefully independence to do what you want to do. And we'll have a great time whether we want to.